There's some things I learned from Moses before he crossed the Red Sea and received the Ten Commandments up in Mount Sinai, which has been very helpful for me dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic and everything else that blew in with it this year. Hey troopers, it's Mr. J showing the love. I appreciate your support, so be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. As I was doing missions in East Africa, I remember crossing the Nile River. It reminded me of my favorite motion picture, The Ten Commandments by Cecil B. DeMille. It was a massive project to produce a picture of that magnitude in 1956. But it shows God's love for his people and how he used one man to accomplish the impossible. So let's flash back to the book of Exodus. There was during a time Egypt had a new king and feared that Israel was becoming too massive and decided to have all newborn boys killed. Because his first attempt failed utilizing the Hebrew midwives, Pharaoh gave the order to all of his people: throw every newborn Hebrew boy in the Nile River, but let the girls live. To avoid the Egyptians, Moses' mother put him in a tiny basket to float him down the edge of the river. This is a reflection as to how Satan is always trying to get rid of our boys, even up to the time of Jesus' birth. And he's still trying to take our boys out today. But check this out, mothers. She had faith in God, knowing her child must pass beyond her care to the guardianship of those who knew not God, the hands of the oppressor. Now, Pharaoh's daughter allowed Moses' mother to nurse him until he was older and paid her for it. When the child was older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter and he became her son. The first point I learned is to have faith in God. After Moses grew up, he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, which is one of his own people. Now, Moses killed the Egyptian and buried him in the sand. Pharaoh heard about this, and before he could kill him, Moses fled to live in Midian, where he met 7 daughters of the priests who lived in Midian. He ends up marrying one of them, in which later on they had a son. God was actually grooming Moses for the big task ahead by having him to oversee his father-in-law's sheep. During this time, he noticed a bush that is burning but not consumed by the fire. He climbs Mount Sinai to investigate, and God speaks to him out of the bush. God says, "I have seen my people suffer in Egypt, and I have come down to see them. So now go, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." So after much discussion, Moses tries to wiggle out of it by saying he is slow to speech and tongue. Send someone else to do it for you. Now, according to my own personal opinion, I felt as though when he was in the presence of God, he really felt how weak and unworthy he was of such a great task. So now God mentions his brother and says, "You shall speak to him and put words in his mouth. I will help both of you speak and teach you what to do." So then he packs up his family and they're off to Egypt. So I'm just here for moral support, right? Yeah, Aaron, sure. Number 2 learning point, have faith in God. Moses gets there and delivers God's message to Pharaoh, which he does not like. As a result, Pharaoh now orders the people to get their own straw to make brick. The Israelites are now complaining to Moses for making it hard on them. Moses was there on their behalf, but now I guess not. The third tip I learned is to have faith in God. Hey, Jay! No, not now. I'm on a roll. After Moses and Aaron had to go back and forth to face Pharaoh with no results after 9 plagues, number 10 was the big game changer. Pharaoh summons Moses and Aaron at night and said, "Up, leave my people, you and the Israelites." Tip number 4, have faith in God. Wait for it. When Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them on the road through the Philistine country, even though that was shorter. Many times we want to question what God is doing as though we were there to consult him during the beginning of the creation. No, don't do that. So when the king of Egypt was told the children of Israel were gone, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds, loaded up chariots to handle some business. When the Israelites saw the chariots coming, they complained again to Moses. "People will forever complain. I don't know why you're looking at me." Moses answered the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today." The angel of God, which had been traveling in front of Israel, withdrew and went behind them. The pillar of cloud also moved from the front and stood behind them, coming between the armies of Egypt and Israel. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground with a wall of water on their right and on their left. And here's my number 5, to check God's track record. Now, what seems to be the problem? Your first 4 points were exactly the same: to have faith in God. Exactly. Because to display Christ-like character, when you find yourself drifting into the hands of the oppressor, have faith. When God sends you back into a situation where the outcome doesn't look too pretty and you feel unprepared for what lies ahead, have faith. When you're taking a stand proclaiming what is right and people who should be on your side are complaining, have faith. When you feel as though progress is not happening because you're repeating the same thing over and over again, and you assume God is not moving fast enough, have faith. As this massive pandemic has rushed upon us and the sea of uncertainties lies before us, remember God's track record. Do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. What He has done for an entire nation, I am convinced He will do for me and you. To support these episodes, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so that you'll automatically receive alerts when I post a new episode. But whatever you do, just keep showing the love. I'm Mr. J, and I'm out.